Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. We have another plan with me today. I'm so happy you're here because September is the beginning of fall, and fall, autumn is my favorite time of year. It's when I just love the colors and the smell. I don't know. It's just the best. Um, and I don't get to experience it very much. I live in Belize, and there isn't much for seasonal change. We have the rainy season, we have the little more hot season, and trees, they have their own seasons within themselves. Like, we don't have mangoes year round, they have their own season, and we don't have avocados year round. So that's something I learned here. I thought from being from Colorado, when things were green, that's when they produced. But in Belize, that's not true. And they do like lose their leaves and maybe change color, and they flower, and it's beautiful. But I miss autumn. And specifically, I miss the aspen trees where we were from, to be able to just go drive during the fall. The autumn season was one of my favorite times. So I'm bringing it back a little bit here in my husband's bullet journal, and I'll talk more in detail about everything, but this is a really simple spread to do. I did the cover page, the notes page, and an entire weekly in just 45 minutes, and that's with the whole camera setup and the little bit of struggle to be able to film it while I'm trying to do this setup. So I'm sure with a little bit of practice, you could do it in way less time. So for this setup, you need something circular, masking tape, a knife, and I used 4 gray markers, and then just a handful of yellow and orange, and maybe a little more on the golden side markers that I had. Most of them, I think 99% of all the markers I used, are my crayola supertips. I did use 1 mild liner and 1 Sharpie, but with the crayola supertips you get so many colors for such a great price, and especially now because I think a lot of the shops and stores have back to school deals, so I think it's a really nice way to get into bullet journaling and art without having to pay a big amount up front. And speaking of art, I want to give credit due to the one who created this print. I didn't come up with this on my own. On Etsy from the LittleTruthsStudios, she made this watercolor, and from there I got my inspiration, because it just took me to those aspen forests that I love walking in so much. And I loved how she created the depth of where you stand and the light that follows like through the forest, that you see like little paths. So I really tried to replicate that idea with the gradient of the gray markers. You notice that the trees that are closer to you are the darker ones, and then they slowly go to the lighter ones, and that's how you see the light that comes into the forest, and you like pick the path that you go down to explore. The markers look nice, but it's nothing compared to the original watercolor art. The paper that I'm using is 120 GSM, so it's not the highest quality, and I know that the watercolor is not something that it takes very well, but with the markers I'm happy, and I feel like you're able to still see the depth of the forest. What also helps with the depth of the forest is how the leaves have fallen onto the ground, and so the larger ones are towards the front, and then they slowly turn into tiny little dots with your marker, and they're all on a plane. So you see how they gather under the trees, and it brings your eye into the center. It draws you into the forest and that path. I'm just using my darkest Crayola super tip for the title, and I decided to go completely across the 2-page spread to kind of give it some unity so that they match together. And I use the lightest gray marker to also go underneath the month title. The little calendar that I'm using is 3 dot squares by 3 dot squares, and I'm just using my little Pilot pen to make a line in between the weeks. A really simple little calendar. I put the dates in the middle box of the 3 squares, and I like how it looks, using my little ruler to help me not mess up on the location of the dates. And then I just wrote with my darkest marker the title of the days on the top. Okay, so now let's really walk it through from the beginning to the end. I'm just using a mason jar. I actually use these as drinking jars to make my circle in the middle of the page. And then this is just regular construction masking tape, which works really good because it's a little bit on the wider side. I feel like if you had like the regular small washi tapes, you would have to go through a lot of little strips to be able to get enough width to be able to do this. And then I'm using just a regular craft knife to cut the circle that I can see underneath the masking tape, so that I have a really clean line when I go in with my markers to paint. You probably could do this freehand, but I feel like it really makes it a nice, crisp, clean line, and I like how that looks. With my pencil, I'm just making a horizon, so I made the lower half of the page divided by 3. So I have the lightest trees, which you could see towards the back, and then this medium gray trees hit the middle line, and then the darkest ones that I'm doing right now go all the way to the bottom line. And that really gives your eye the separation of what's close and what's far. Now that I've drawn my trees themselves, I'm taking the darker marker and putting those little eye marks, those little knots that are on the aspen trees. The darker one goes to the medium one. The medium one makes the knots on the lighter one. That way it's not too dark. If you did the same color on all of them, it would be too much. And then I go in and make my little branches, and they're just a few and far in between. You're not seeing the tops of the trees. I only used 4 different colors for the autumn leaves, and mind you, you can do this in green. The original art has these beautiful bright lime green leaves that just pop off the page, but since autumn is my favorite, I saved this theme specifically for this month. And now I'm using the darkest gray of them all to go on top of the darker, most close trees. And with that, it's done. Peel off your masking tape, and I'm writing the title here in the top, kind of mirroring the monthly title that I had on the first 2-page spread, and that's the notes page for my husband. Now turning the page, getting into the weekly. I added the same tree art in the top, but I'm going to just go through it really fast because you've already seen me do it twice. It's just the same art, just on a smaller scale. It's like once you start making this little art print, you can't stop. And it was really fun to make different paths through the different, little forests that I created. Seeing how the light would come through, and I really got the hang of it. The week title goes on the top, and then I have a focus spot with 3 top priorities for the week, and then I also have a task list. It's a running task list, so he's able to put everything that he needs to get done and then assign a day for it. He likes to keep track of his hours for his volunteer work and for his regular job. So I've listed everything by the hour from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and he just needs to rotate the entire book, and it's from Monday to Sunday, and he's able to write in what he's done, and there's even a little space for notes if he needs to. And with that, we're done. This is the flip through. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you want to see more of the spreads that I've made for my husband, I've posted them all since January, so you have several months to watch. And I also post my own bullet journal videos and the plan with me's and flip throughs of all the custom journals that I make as well. So please subscribe. Check out my Instagram, LookintheNooks. I have it linked below if you want to see still images of any of these spreads over there. And thank you so much for watching.